Thunderstorms dumping a tremendous amount of rain across central and eastern Kentucky. We're tracking those and what is yet to come next.
A jury convicts a man in his girlfriend's murder. The possible punishment he now faces ahead.
A man ends up in jail after police say he got angry, had too much to drink, and damaged a cemetery.
WKYT News starts now with First Alert Weather.
I'm sure you've seen it out there. We have heavy showers and storms pushing through our area right now.
It is more widespread today, which means many of us are going to get rained on. We begin with WKYT Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey and a look at what's on the radar right now.
Yeah, many of us have been kind of soaked on out there today with those rounds of showers and thunderstorms, putting it down better than an inch of water in some areas on the day so far. One big round of thunderstorms exiting southeastern Kentucky. The one behind it's a little more calm, though we're seeing a little uptick in the thunder and lightning here from Richmond and points to the east. Let's get you caught up on what is going on with this line. Where you see the oranges, the yellows, the reds, that's where it's coming down at a pretty good clip. Boyle County, we've had some downpours. A downpour right now on top of Stanford. Heading into Lancaster, rain heading to the east of the downtown Richmond area. Those still around Madison Central High School over toward Lake Reba. We're getting in on some heavier rains than what we're getting south of the bypass. We go to the northeast now from Winchester over toward Jeffersonville, Clay City, and Stanton. Thunderstorms are packing a bit more of a punch. Look at Lexington, where you see those yellows and oranges coming in from Versailles and Lawrenceburg. Those are heavy downpours that are right on top of the city as we go into that evening rush hour. Thunderstorms into areas north of Moorhead beginning to wind down a little bit. Still the possibility of flash flooding northeastern Kentucky. We'll watch this corridor from Frenchburg to Campton to Beattyville back into parts of Estill County for some heavy rain producing thunderstorms and starting to get a little action popping up here across the southeastern corner of the state. Looking to the southwest, notice we're not seeing quite as much action into western Kentucky, so let's hit the fast forward button on that future radar, and it does suggest that things turn a little better the deeper we get into the evening, though fog may be a problem. And coming up, we'll show you why tomorrow may be a little wetter across southern parts of the area than what we were thinking just 24 hours ago.
A Lexington man was convicted today for murdering and dismembering his girlfriend in 2014.
Paris Charles learned that he'll spend 36 years in prison. A jury found him guilty of murder and abuse of a corpse this afternoon after deliberating for only 2 hours. Victor Puentes outside the Fayette County Courthouse with the very latest. It's our top story at 5.
This jury deliberated for about 2 hours before returning with those guilty verdicts. The family of the woman Paris Charles murdered said they're pleased with what happened here today. Paris Charles was arrested 2 months after Goldia Massey's arm and torso were found in the Kentucky River in 2014. His defense team told jurors the carpet he had ripped out of his home and the cell phone records that showed him near the river were only coincidences. They tried to suggest that Massey's son knew more than he was telling police.
Paris Charles driving to Richard Weaver's house on September 22nd at 8 to 9 in the morning while he's on the phone with him for 7 minutes because Weaver lives by I-75 in the Kentucky River is innocent behavior that is made to look sinister in this case.
Prosecutors said the blood found in Charles's home belonged to Massey, and the simplest explanation was that he killed her and then dismembered her. They also disagreed that police focused on Charles, ignoring any other evidence.
That's where the evidence led us. The evidence led us to Paris Charles, not to Zach Massey.
Once the jury found Charles guilty of murder and abuse of a corpse, Massey's sister took the stand to talk about how her death had impacted their family. That jury recommended 35 years in prison for the murder charge and 1 year in jail and a $500 fine for the abuse of a corpse. In Lexington, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Charles' final sentencing has not yet been scheduled.
A man is in jail this afternoon accused of taking his anger out at a cemetery. Police say Charles Fowler got into a fight with his father, got drunk, and destroyed headstones at a cemetery in Jackson County. WKYT's Phil Pendleton shows us the damage.
Charles Fowler remains in jail charged with alcohol intoxication in a public place and violating a cemetery. Police say that he had an argument with his father, and then he came out here to the cemetery where they say he took out his anger on several tombstones and grave decorations. Police say the problems began around 8 or 9 o'clock Tuesday night after Fowler had left his father's home. Police say they started getting 911 calls of a man in a cemetery causing problems. When deputies arrived, they say Fowler was walking out carrying a hammer. They say he was very intoxicated. Then they discovered several tombstones damaged and flowers and decorations strewn about. They say at least 10 headstones were affected by the man's actions, including the gravesite of Fowler's mother's grave and also that of his aunt and uncle. Many people didn't want to talk about the incident on camera, but their words convey how disturbing the whole situation is.
Families around here, it's hard for them to even afford a headstone to begin with, and for somebody to tear them up, knock them over, you know, I mean, it's bad for all involved, really. I mean,
despite the damage, there are some coming to Fowler's defense. Some people are telling us that there's really not much damage done, nothing that can be repaired, and they believe that he was simply upset over his mother's passing away. We're going to have a lot more coming up at 6 o'clock, but for now, Jackson County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Fowler remains in jail facing felony charges. Police say they have not figured out the extent of the damage or the cost to repair the damaged headstones. Police have arrested 2 people in connection to dozens of car break-ins. Lexington police say Mary Elizabeth Hoop and Christina Davis turned themselves in last night. Police tell the Herald Leader Hoop, Davis, and a third man have been breaking into vehicles in the Claysville area for the past 2 months. Police say they're behind 20 to 30 thefts where wallets, purses, electronics, and other valuables have been stolen. The third suspect is still on the run.
Police are on the lookout for a trailer that was stolen Tuesday night. Our county-by-county coverage at 5 begins in Perry County. According to police, the white dual-axle trailer was used by the Hazard Kiwanis Club to support their annual Soapbox Derby, which benefits children in that area. A witness told police that it was seen being pulled by a white or silver Nissan Xterra heading north on Highway 15. An Ohio-based clinical trial company is moving its headquarters to Kenton County. CTI will lease 125,000 square feet in Covington's River Center. The company plans to invest more than $36 million in northern Kentucky. They expect to hire up to 500 people. The company's moving to northern Kentucky to be closer to downtown Cincinnati.
Donald Trump shuffled his campaign staff today ahead of his first classified briefing, and Hillary Clinton campaigned in the swing state of Ohio. Greg Boswell has more campaign 2016 coverage.
Donald Trump talked about his plans to take on terrorists with advisors and congressional leaders in Trump Tower Wednesday afternoon.
The FBI has got it.
The meeting came ahead of his first classified intelligence briefing. But Trump is shaking up his campaign staff with less than 90 days until the election. Stephen Bannon, who runs Breitbart.com, now joins the campaign as its CEO, and Kellyanne Conway joins as the new campaign manager. Paul Manafort will remain chairman, but with a diminished role.
But you don't have a shakeup like this. You don't take the top person and kind of push him aside as they did to Paul Manafort.
Hillary Clinton mocked the shuffle, saying Trump is going to be Trump no matter who he has running the campaign.
He is still the same man who insults Gold Star families, demeans women, mocks people with disabilities, and thinks he knows more about ISIS than our generals. There is no new Donald Trump. This is it.
Clinton did not talk about her email problems. The FBI has handed over notes from its investigation of her private email server to Congress. Republicans are dissecting the notes to see if she perjured herself when she testified before the House Select Committee on Benghazi. Clinton maintains she told the truth to Congress and the FBI. Craig Boswell, CBS News, the White House.
New polls show Clinton with large leads in the battleground states of Colorado and Virginia, but she and Trump are in a virtual tie in Iowa. A Brazilian judge wants 2 U.S. swimmers to stay in Rio, but one might already be gone. The judge ordered Ryan Lochte and Jimmy Fegan's passports to be taken away while police investigate their claims they were robbed at gunpoint on Sunday. Police went to the Olympic Village looking for the pair today, but found the swim team had moved out. Lochte's father says his son called him Tuesday to say he'd arrived back in the U.S. Fegan's whereabouts have not been confirmed. A cancer survivor's needs helped her create something that's become useful to other people battling health problems. Her invention a little later.
There's a new high-tech way for doctors to make sure patients are following their orders. We'll show you how smart pills work in better living.
Your hour-by-hour forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
It's been a rather soggy day across the Bluegrass State. Almost wall-to-wall rain for some of us out there, putting it down greater than an inch in a few spots. Some areas to our southwest working on 3 inches of rain. Show you what it looks like into the east side of Lexington. There's the traffic on Winchester Road. Bottom of your screen there in the distance, Hamburg Pavilion over top of us. We have the gray skies, 73 rainy degrees in Lexington as expected. We stayed in the 70s today because of the overcast and the threat for some showers. I think some areas may stay in the 70s again tomorrow and maybe even Friday. Defender Radar Network, isolated showers, thunderstorms across southern Kentucky, Whitley City, London, Corbin, over toward the Barberville area. Now we go into Liberty, Casey County, into central Kentucky. Stuff is beginning to kind of break apart just a little bit, though we have some thunder and lightning showing up on the Mountain Parkway corridor that extends over top of Clay City, Stanton, southern parts of Montgomery County, Frenchburg. Getting a little noisy right now. Lexington Metro, mainly just some moderate rains that are out there. Some embedded heavier spots around Versailles where 60 turns into or meets the BG Parkway into downtown Lexington, ramping it up a notch or two. Give it another hour or two, right about sunset, and the rain's going to quit into the Bluegrass region. Wouldn't you know it, huh? Northeastern Kentucky, still some raindrops here, though. Watch this corridor where we've had a little peak of sun out ahead of some thunderstorms that are working toward the Mountain Parkway corridor. Nothing severe, but again, some heavy rains, a little thunder and lightning, and some light rains western parts of the Bluegrass State. Let's roll forward now. Promised you a brand new hour-by-hour forecast. It is in. 7 this evening through 11 this evening. Notice how we dried up a little bit out there. Fog's going to be a big player tonight. You can't put this much water down without getting some foggy conditions out there. Now we go into Thursday, and I was saying earlier, I was watching this run coming in, and it is a little wetter now for the southern half of the area especially. Look at that, noon tomorrow through 4 or 5 o'clock into the afternoon. Farther north you are, the better the chance you stay dry and see temperatures maybe hitting the low 80s. Farther to the south, look at this. Chances are again for some locally heavy downpours and temperatures that may stay in the 70s again tomorrow into southern and southeastern Kentucky. Then on Friday, we kick off high school football action. We go through the day, and we're going to see some scattered thunderstorms around. It's just a matter of whether or not one of those thunderstorms is kind of playing around the field where your team is playing on Friday evening. Now we go into Saturday. Watch Saturday afternoon and evening. I'm watching a front diving in here. That can create some strong thunderstorms into much of the area, and the model's still trying to spit out that new run greater than an inch of rain over the next couple of days. But once we get that Saturday night, Sunday morning front in here, look out, because that's going to clean the skies. Think of that as just a big old giant squeegee working on in here. It's something we've needed for 2.5 months. Early next week, mainly dry, highs in the 70s, low humidity, lows in the 50s.
It's going to take a really big squeegee to help us out here.
But you like me now with that forecast
I
next
do.
week, right?
Yes. Well, I did not like you before, but I like you much better.
It's the first time Amber smiled at me, Sam, in 2 months.
Oh, really?
First time.
All right, I'm staying out of this one.
Thanks, Chris.
Still working a couple of collisions, including a new one that police are on the scene right now at Pimlico and Custer. That has part of Pimlico blocked. It looks like the outbound lane blocked just before the intersection. And they're still cleaning up one in Russell Cave and Faulkner. That has 2 lanes of outbound Russell Cave blocked at the moment. To Versailles, about 12 minutes. To Paris, 29. And Winchester, 31 minutes in all this rain. Now back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Don. Be safe out there. A diagnosis of breast cancer led a Lexington woman to a new business venture, the invention she came up with to help people battling health problems ahead.
Deputies in a central Kentucky community have a new tool in the fight against heroin, what they're now carrying with them on WKYT News at 5:30.
At least 11 people have died in flooding in southern Louisiana, and more than 30,000 people have been rescued. 11,000 people are staying in emergency shelters. Yesterday, 16 more parishes were added to the federal disaster declaration. The governor says many people in Louisiana don't want to leave their homes.
People who live in homes that have never flooded don't leave their homes when you warn them of an impending flood.
2 days of record rainfall dumped more than 30 inches of rain in parts of Louisiana over the weekend. More than 60,000 people have signed up for FEMA assistance. Firefighters in Southern California trying to get the upper hand against a massive wildfire that has displaced thousands of people. The so-called Blue Cut Fire ignited yesterday morning in a suburb of Los Angeles, expanding in size to 30,000 acres in just a matter of hours. And the fire burned entire neighborhoods to the ground overnight.
It's just devastating, and it looks like it's just all the way around us. And I live that way, and they won't let me go home.
California's Governor Jerry Brown has declared a state of emergency in the region. Officials say the Blue Cut Fire has zero containment. For anyone that has gone through breast cancer, you know there is a lot you have to endure.
Well, tonight, how one Central Kentucky woman's journey with cancer has led her down the road to invent a product she hopes will make someone else's journey easier. The story's new at 5. At 37, Jennifer Baker never dreamed she would start her own company, but then again, she never thought she'd be a breast cancer survivor either.
I just had a feeling that it wasn't going to be right.
Diagnosed at 32 with cancer, this mother underwent chemo, a double mastectomy, and radiation.
After surgery, and specifically breast cancer surgeries, you'll have, after mastectomy or reconstruction, you'll have drains that come down that are basically, they're a vacuum to help pull the fluid out, and you have to have them in usually a couple weeks or so.
Those tubes are difficult, she says, in the way, and her frustration led her husband to the sewing machine and to come up with a way for her to manage them.
So he goes and gets me a fanny pack from Walmart or something.
That fanny pack was the inspiration for these post-operative surgical drain bags for breast cancer patients.
You know, when you just kind of put your shirt over it and kind of wear it and nobody really can see these tubes.
Kate Tungate is a fellow breast cancer survivor. After her surgery, she too hated dealing with the tubes that were always in the way.
The first two, I had drains, and it was so cumbersome to be able to take a bath or a shower.
Tungate was one of the first people to test Baker's product, including one made for the shower. It was a hit.
When I first got those and put those on and was able to take a shower, I felt, it gives me chills, I felt this sense of freedom.
Baker and her husband have now started I Inspire LLC to offer the drain bags and a little inspiration.
I know how they feel, and I just want to give them hope. And I just want to give them something that makes a really hard time just a little easier.
Well, hopefully it does. Baker and her husband have a patent pending on the clips that are used in her bags. She also says these bags are not just for breast cancer patients. They can be used for anyone who has surgery and needs drain tubes. For more on her products and her website, just go to WKYT.com and look for this story. A group of cyclists will spend a Sunday pedaling for those who can't. The disease they're fighting as they ride on WKYT News at 5:30.
McDonald's has come up with a new way to encourage children to move. What they're now putting in Happy Meals in Better Living.
It is time now for Better Living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. Pediatricians in Texas are using a new technology that lets them monitor patients no matter where they are. Don Champion shows us how it works.
5-year-old Riley Kidman has to take medication twice a day after having a kidney transplant. The pills keep her body from rejecting the kidney she got from her dad. But these aren't just any pills. Each one also has a tiny sensor.
Are the pills easy to take? Yeah.
The sensor activates inside Riley's stomach and transmits a signal to a patch she wears. The technology then sends data to her doctors and parents through a tablet, alerting them she took her meds.
If patients are not taking their medications as prescribed or missing medication doses, we know that they're at higher risk for potential complications.
Children's Health in Dallas is the first hospital in the country to use the technology in kids. Dr. Dev Desai says the smart pills are helping keep track of patients in ways they never could before.
It provides heart rate monitor functions. It gives us an idea of activity and sleep cycles.
Riley's parents hope the technology will also give her independence.
Right now we're in charge, but 10, 15 years from now, I'll know exactly when she took her medicine and I don't have to nag her about it.
Giving everyone peace of mind. Don Champion, CBS News, Dallas.
Children's Health plans to use the smart pill technology on about 75 children. McDonald's isn't always known for its healthy options, but the chain is trying to change its image one Happy Meal at a time. The restaurant is now offering activity trackers in its Happy Meals. The trackers count steps and blink according to how quickly or slowly the person wearing it is moving. The goal is to encourage children to get more physical activity. McDonald's has also made changes in recent years to make Happy Meals healthier. Now, here's what's coming up for you at 5:30.